Okay, can you hear me all
Wonderful.
right?
Wonderful. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Trying to get all plugged in.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Alrighty. So how are you?
Wonderful. Hello, sir. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi. I didn't know if you had your session or not. I can't keep Mondays and Wednesdays straight to save my tail.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Monday's the busy one. That's the only way to remember it.
Okay.
So don't worry about it. Yeah.
Maybe I could just remember
And
Manic Monday.
Wednesday. There you go. There
What's
you
that?
go. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Manic Monday. Yeah.
All right. Then I'll just
All
remember
good.
it that
All
way.
good. All good. All good. All good. What's been happening in Sher world?
Um, I don't know. I'm good today. I don't that heaviness that I was feeling yesterday is somewhat still there, but I
Yeah.
think
Same
it's
here.
also
Same here.
related to CJ. And here's why. It's because I am still walking on eggshells around that kid. Um,
Yes.
because honestly, I'm trying real hard to watch everything that I say, and that takes a ton of effort.
Oh, it's
Watch
huge.
everything
It's
I
huge.
say.
It's huge.
I have to be careful of how I walk, how I talk, how I do anything around him. Otherwise, he's going to go into some silly rage.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times it doesn't even take anything. I can just be existing, and he's going
Yeah.
to do this
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. And that's where the tightness comes in. To say if you're going to get get into all your things because of me just doing nothing, then that's all on you, and the tightness makes that abundantly clear, right?
Yeah.
Fine, go
Well,
ahead, do this. I'm being nothing. If you're going to get upset by nothing, that's all you, and you're going to have to learn that this is totally idiotic.
yeah. Well, but then in the meantime, I can't stop him from punching the walls and from destroying his room, from scaring
Yeah.
the dog, from just making life miserable when he
Yeah.
gets away, which is every single morning, every damn morning.
Oh, oh,
This is how we start
oh.
off the day. Every day, him throwing a fit.
About what?
It doesn't matter about
Oh,
anything.
okay.
He can throw a fit because of the color of the sky. He can throw a fit because of, you
Yeah.
know, anything.
Is
Anything.
is this before or after breakfast? Has he eaten?
He will not even eat. He refuses to
Okay,
eat in the morning.
okay. In a
Refuses.
good time, point out to him low blood sugar
Yep.
can cause severe mood disruption and can
Oh,
make
he
us
knows.
feel very discombobulated. So he needs to eat in the mornings.
Right. No, he knows, and the doctor has told him, and social services has told him. Everybody's told him, but you can't make the boy do a damn thing. So
Yeah,
he
yeah,
gets to do what he wants to do.
yeah,
Now, then to exacerbate this, and trust me, I'm not
yeah.
trying to be difficult. I am just like,
No. I hear you. I hear you.
I get it with
It's an
them.
impossible situation. Yeah.
So yesterday, he had a rough afternoon. He got triggered in class at the last class of the day. Teacher yelled.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
yelled. I mean, she just screamed at the whole class. Well, that triggered CJ, and he went into a rage. So they 2 or 3 teachers stupidly tried to get him to calm down instead of letting him go to a safe space to calm himself, like what I've told him he needs to do.
Yeah.
That they had 3 teachers in the room on top of him, everybody telling him all at the same time to calm down, to
Yeah.
do this, to do that. Well, that was just making it worse. So
Yeah.
then,
Well,
so then they call me after school. The first the principal does, and then another teacher calls me, and they're both telling me what they're both telling me this, that because they're an educator and because they're trained in de-escalation, that they know what he needs, that they know how to calm down these rages.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
if
good
you
luck to
knew,
you
then
guys.
why did
Go
it
ahead.
take If you knew, then why did it take three of you to do this? Why
Exactly.
was the teacher even yelling in class in the first place? And they said, well, because sometimes the teachers do have to yell to get these students' attention. But I got to tell you right now, CJ does not belong in this learning center. It's not a learning center. I said, you guys have to understand, you've set up a disciplinary alternative school here for kids that, for whatever reason, are struggling in public school. Said, I am so sorry. I even sent him back into public school, but he wanted to go, so I decided to let him.
Yeah.
Said it was also against his counselor's best wishes.
Yeah.
Now here we are, and we're stuck in public school, and I can't pull him out because CPS, probation, and the courts and everybody else will have a total fit if I pull him out and do what's best for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where we are. And I have to walk on eggshells. So now I'm drained, and that's where my heaviness is coming from.
But I
I'm like,
think it's
well,
good for CJ too, though, in a roundabout way.
I don't know how. Because
Well,
what he'll do,
in this
then he
state,
brings it here.
right? But in this state, CJ has to learn to accommodate his behavior to the world's. He's expecting the world to accommodate to him.
Yes.
It's both ways, right?
Yeah.
But he has to learn that, man, if I'm going to survive and I want to make I have to learn to accommodate when people do things that are irrational, idiotic, stupid, whatever. And whether they actually are idiotic or stupid or irrational doesn't matter. He perceives them as that. Doesn't
Yes.
matter, right? So he thinks this justifies him behaving up. No, it doesn't. You just cause yourself problems, right? So it's a form of understanding that justice can't always be insisted upon, and fairness. The world isn't fair. You got to be sensible. It's not about fairness. Sometimes the world is unfair, but that
What if he
doesn't make
doesn't get
it
that?
sensible. What's that?
I said, what if he doesn't get that? What's going to happen?
He's just going to keep bumping his head, and he's going to have a hard time. You'll get it eventually. You'll get it eventually.
Well,
You'll get
you
it.
know, it's just so bizarre. So to watch him flip flop like this, he'll just be a nasty little monster in the morning. I'm serious, here at the house. And then just before we get to school, then he calms down and he's real chill and he's, talking nicely. And it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah. Sure. Can you change your morning routine in some way?
To
Right?
what?
Okay. Let me start with the abstract conception first, though. When you're dealing with a fire, there's so many ways to deal with fire. Sometimes you can't deal with the fire directly, so you deal with the environment, right? I can't go in and fight the fire because, well, it's inside the building, but I can wrap the building in foam and suck and prevent oxygen from coming in and the fire dies. Yeah. So you see what I mean? It's like you can't always deal with things directly, so you deal with the environment. And I think this may be a way to work with CJ. Like, for instance, in the mornings, instead of you coming down and making coffee, I don't know, put the coffee pot in your room and make coffee up there. And only come down when it's time to, you come down, you get in the car and you go to the school. That's it. You don't interact until that's it. You want to act up? Well, you've got your chance while you're driving to school to act up. But okay. So since he's got this agenda to try and be good for school, you're cutting down his interacting time. And, he can't really do much while you're driving. And you just ignore him. And okay, here we're at school and you change and that's it. So that he doesn't have this opportunity for this nonsense. Yeah. Or that just as a strategy to maybe break the pattern.
No. I mean, in many ways, it's what I already do.
Okay.
I mean, I've even taken off his plate taking care of Lou. He just doesn't take care of her anymore. This is my job. I take care of her. So when I get up, I get her out first thing. I go and I do whatever I'm going to do, make my coffee, whatever. But then I don't wake him up until, that was his other complaint this morning, that, I woke him up too late. He's like, well, now I'm too tired for school. Like, well, okay, you're still going to go. I said, but what's the difference? Whether I get you up at 7 and you sleep for 45 minutes extra, or if I get you up at 6:45 and you get ready to go and you've only got 10 minutes to sleep. I said, so what's
Yeah.
the difference? There's none. So and that's what I did this morning is I got up, I woke him up at 1:45, took care of Lou, took care, got my medicine, got my coffee, did all of that stuff. And then I went upstairs and got him up. Didn't say anything, but it's time to get up. And then he got mad when he saw the time. He's like, why did you let me sleep so long? Well, what else are you going to do for an hour?
Why
You
did
don't,
you let me?
yeah.
Again, why
Yeah.
is it my you can choose. You got an alarm. What's it got to do with me? You
Well, he's
choose.
got an
Not
alarm
me.
that he won't set. I showed him how to set it because he refused to read the instructions. So I showed him how to set it once. I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
smart boy. He can figure it out. He proved to me, by the way, that yes, he is smart enough to figure things out.
Oh, freaking Google it for crikey's sake. Whenever he says
Yeah, he
stuff to me,
can.
I say Google it, Google it, Google it.
That's what I
I'm
always
not going
tell
to do
him.
your stuff for you.
So
Yeah.
so anyway, he just, of course, he's always looking for ways to blame me for everything, but then yet he turns around and talks about to other people how close he is to me. And it's like,
Yeah,
how do you equate
he
that
wants
being
to be
close?
close to you.
Yeah, no, he
Yeah,
just wants to look good. Um,
yeah,
so every morning I try and do something different because, like I said, I've got this mindset where I have to come up with a different strategy every day because never does something work the same way twice. Not with him.
yeah,
If he
yeah,
figures out that something worked, then he'll sabotage it.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay, whatever. I can keep coming up with different ways. I don't care. But I
Yeah,
have figured out though that that's where this heaviness is coming from, and I keep
yeah,
trying to find ways to implement peace in the house. He does not like it that I get to. I have earned this right to be in my home at this age.
yeah,
I'm not 11.
yeah,
I don't have to do school. I've done
yeah,
it. Not my problem. And I expressed that to him yesterday. Stop trying to be an adult. You're a kid. And nobody's going to treat you like adult. No one's going to see you as an adult. You are 11.
yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah.
fact of
Chill,
life.
dude, chill, 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 chill.
Huh?
I'm talking to him. It's like,
Oh,
hey, chill, man, chill, chill, chill. That's
yeah.
it. Relax, take it easy, enjoy being a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
By the way, if he's late for school, what happens?
well, then I'm the one who gets in trouble.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
See, here's how this whole system is working. Apparently, this is all my fault, according to the administration and according to, the
Are you
principal and
sure?
according to
Are you
everybody
sure?
else. It's all the parents' fault that this child is now in alternative school. There must be something going on in the dynamics of this home that has created a disciplinary problem,
Hmm. Be
according to
careful.
them.
Be careful on that, though. Even if this is what they are trying to push, be careful of buying into it
Oh,
and
I don't
queuing.
buy into it.
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
don't,
saying no, no, no. I don't mean buying into it in that sense, but giving it life. To
know.
counter cue it in a sense. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, no, I always put everything back on him. If something is his responsibility,
Yeah,
it's his responsibility. If we're late
yeah.
because of him, I'm going to let them know this is on
Okay,
him.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. I don't take responsibility for any of this crap.
yeah,
Um, the it's just like me having to drug test. Why? Why would I have to drug test?
yeah.
I'm not the one on probation.
Yeah. Well, I suppose there are situations where kids have problems and the parents are on drugs and they can't say and they
Oh,
don't want to say. And I suppose it makes sense.
no,
Yeah.
it kind of doesn't, especially not when I have to pay for it, not when I've been accused of anything.
Yeah, no, but what
So,
I mean is that I can see situations where the parents are on drugs and it causes a
yeah,
problem. Yeah, the paying for it is the issue. That I agree, but it's a separate issue. But I mean, I can see the sense of them asking for a drug test,
yeah,
or demanding it, and because the kids could be acting up and they're under severe pressure to. You don't tell a soul about this, like with your father, like right. You can't say it's a big secret. And
Yeah.
so, how do you uncover that? It's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Problems.
No,
Problems.
so, like I said, that's where a lot of the heaviness is coming from. It's just this whole idea of having to walk on eggshells, and you know,
Yeah.
I ignore him now when he gets upset and he starts slamming things. I
Oh,
just
good.
ignore it.
That's
I
it.
just
Yeah.
really,
It's just like
I don't even stay tight with it. It's just like, oh well, that just
yeah.
happened, but it didn't, and I don't
Yeah.
really care.
But
Um,
that is being tight in a way, because you're just holding yourself together, and it's not
yeah,
being bothered by it. Just bounces. It just bounces. Yeah. It's the
yeah,
only thing
it
to
does, and I always just, and then he'll come up to me and he's like, I could just smash this right now, and I'm like, okay, go ahead, and I leave it
yeah.
at that.
He's so keen to be radical. It's
Yeah,
like, dude,
yeah,
fine. You think it's all radical and fantastic. It's just assholeness. But you don't have
yeah.
to say that. Whatever. Yeah, it's
So
boring.
I usually
The
just tell him,
worst.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Good.
Um,
Good. Good.
yeah. So, um, yeah, there's just different things that we've lost around here, because of his aggressiveness and whatnot. Um, the heaviness is definitely attributed to that, to the whole walking on eggshells. So I'm trying to figure out how not to feel like I have
Yes. Yes.
about what I
Yes.
say.
And that is a huge challenge. That's difficult to do. It's a powerful skill. It's a powerful skill. It's amazing to me, philosophy of opposite.
Okay,
Philosophy of opposite takes everything and turns it onto its head. Yes, we don't want to be bullshitters, but sometimes we need to know how to ethically bullshit. This is one such instance.
and that's what does.
This is an instance where we need to learn how to ethically bullshit. It's the same skill. You're not
Okay,
bullshitting, which is deception, but it is saying, I'm not going to be bothered by something that is legitimately threatening,
okay,
right? So you see what I mean? Is you kind of have to work a kind of a distortion of the issue to get to feel calm in a situation that doesn't warrant it
okay,
necessarily, right? Now,
okay,
just because, but also to understand the nuance and the detail involved. So you may have to use a bit of sleight of mind to get yourself into that space. But in the end, though, you are going to legitimately be calm, even though a situation is potentially dangerous. You're going to become a lion tamer, in other words, right?
okay. All
Lion,
right.
lion tamer mindset. The lion tamer knows it is dangerous. And it is dangerous, but it's not dangerous as long as he is calm or she is calm. Yes?
Uh-huh.
Their attitude determines the behavior of the lions. If they are threatened, stressed, fearful, they're going to make themselves prey and the lions want to attack, right? So it's a
Okay.
very peculiar relationship. And this is to understand it, though, is helpful, but to actually apply it is difficult. So initially, you may need to kind of convince yourself and, I don't know, fudge things a little bit in your mind to calm down. But it's only the first step, not the end step, right? You're not looking to bullshit yourself in the long run, just to use those same skills to get you started, and then you can start to deal with it in the true accurate way.
Right.
With yeah, so a little bit of skillful, sleight of mind, right? Like sleight of hand,
Right.
sleight of mind. Yeah, but it's only initially. You're not looking to use bullshit, because then you get caught up. That's no good either. Right? Because bullshit will say, no, this is all fine, no problem. And then you're going to get, bitten and eaten. So you need to have this understanding of this issue. Now, with the lions, yes, it's appropriate. The lion tamer, when she's in that cage, she's the dominant one, right? Because there's the
Okay.
lions. Now, yes, with CJ, that is also potentially a possibility to do that. But the problem with him is that he has very much latched onto not being dominated. Yes. So
Okay.
it's counterproductive with him. At the same token, though, it's a very tricky problem here. The same token, you can't just have him run riot and have the go thing going to his show as well, right? So
Right.
you have to find a balance to say, Hey, I'm happy for you to develop your own independence of being and think for yourself. At the same token, if you're going to be an asshole and a jackass and stupid, this ain't going to work. So the authority is now not you anymore. If you want to fight stuff, fight the system. Because
Okay.
we're in this together. It's you and me. I'm doing what I have to do according to the system. Don't blame me. It's the system. Who put us into the system? You. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, so subvert it. In other words, if you the authority figure, like in the line, you're the alpha lion there. The lions, they respect us. This is their system. But in his system, he's fighting against us, and you don't want to get into a perpetual war with him. Yeah.
Right.
And so
No.
with a lion, you'll smack down that lion very, very assertively and very aggressively, and you'll deny them food. You'll do until they comply, right? You have that, but you don't have this necessarily with CJ so much. And beside which, if you do too much of that, you break the spirit, and that's no good either. And then you just get a robot. So it's a tricky balance. But let him fight against the system, not against you. You
Right.
want to rather start working with him than against him. But in his mind, he's still fighting for dominance. Yeah. So when he realizes it's futile, said, dude, you can be as dominant as you like. Okay, I can break this. Look, I'm tougher than you. I'm dominant. So what? What does it get you? Nothing. See? So when he realizes that it's futile, then he'll shift it and maybe he'll start fighting the system, but he's also realized that he can't really fight the system. That's why he puts on his best behavior at school. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
let him fight
Okay.
the system and see how far you get. But that's it. Anytime he's fighting, you say, CJ, it's not me. It's this. I'm doing what I have to do according to the law. You got
Yeah,
a
I tell him
problem?
that.
Take it up with them. Take it up, but you have to repeat it. You have to repeat it. You can't just
Oh,
say
I
things
do.
once. You have to repeat it every freaking time till it gets really boring to hear it. And
I
then you'll
do.
stop doing it because you hear the same shit every time. Yeah. Oh,
I
good.
wish he
Okay, good.
would. We get this eyeball. I get this eyeball roll. It's like, and then he'll get, oh, here we go again.
Yeah. Yeah. But tell him, say, I agree, CJ. It's boring for me too. But you don't seem to hear it. So I have to keep repeating it until you hear it. I agree. It's boring as crack. It's like, come on.
Yeah. Well, that
I don't
part
want
I
to be.
can tell him. Yeah,
Yeah.
that part I can tell him. Which, by the way,
Yeah.
um,
What's that?
I want to let you know, kind of on a side note here. Um, the neighbor, with the whole tree thing,
Yes. Yes.
um,
Yes.
the guy
John.
is, huh?
Is his name
Um,
John?
I don't know.
Yeah. That's
I, I,
that's my
I,
well, that's his name until we got a new name for him. That'll be
yeah,
his
I
name.
have
John.
no idea. He will not introduce himself.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, the kids were outside playing yesterday, and he took his dog out for a short little walk. And then they were tossing around the football, and the guy, said, hey, toss it to me a couple times. So they were tossing it back and forth. And then he finished
Ah,
taking his dog around for a walk, and he came back around to where myself and another neighbor lady were standing and talking.
oh,
And
good.
he let her introduce the dog, or meet the dog. And Sil completely turned his back to me. I mean, had his back to
Interesting.
me, did not acknowledge me at all.
Interesting. Interesting.
Lou was
Interesting.
inside. And I told Tony, my neighbor lady friend, I told her, I said, yeah, I said, a real sad thing. I said, my dog, I said, Lou, I said, she doesn't like other dogs, and she really upset his dog yesterday.
Mm,
And I'll be darned, I think that's what the guy's problem is that Lou upset her, and maybe, him too. I wasn't gonna let Lou go. I know better than that. I was
yeah.
trying to pull her away, and she's
Yeah.
very, very strong. She's a 50-pound dog pulling with like 100 pounds of pressure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I was trying everything I could to pull her back into the house. And I said hello to him twice yesterday when I saw him. That's all I said was hello.
Hmm.
Both times completely ignored me.
Interesting.
And I
Interesting.
thought, okay,
Interesting.
that's just really rude of you. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I didn't put off the vibe that it was rude. I was kind of confused. And then I asked,
Good. Good.
then I
Because it
asked
may be a
Tony,
test, not. It may be a test. Maybe.
I don't know, but then I asked Tony, I
Good.
said,
Good. Good. Good.
um, I said, have you ever met his dog before? And she goes, no, I think that is a new dog. She said, I don't know if You know, she's supposed to be there. And then the landlord, she had come around about the same time, and she was like, "No, I don't think that dog is supposed to be here. They don't have it registered." Okay,
Oh,
I
oh,
don't know. Um,
oh,
I just
interesting.
know that it's interesting. I'm glad to see that, you
In-
know, he's coming out of his apartment because he does have a dog now. He does apparently take care of his
Yeah,
mother, and she
yeah.
lives there, and she's very, very feeble and old and like in her 90s. And um, okay, great.
Interesting. Interesting.
But
Yeah,
I just thought you know, I felt really
yeah,
slighted when you're talking to somebody and they keep their back turned to you. You might as well be showing me your ass. That's just, it's just not kind. It's a very blatant, not a nice thing to do. And I was just
yeah,
racking my brain trying to think of
yeah,
what I had done, and the only thing I could think of was that he got offended because Lou was so aggressive. But I did tell him, I
yeah.
said,
But
yeah,
what about?
you know, I said, I got her from the
Yeah,
shelter, just the same as you did your pup. And I said, but they had to keep her separate because she just didn't get along with the other dogs. That she loves people, she just doesn't like other dogs. Um,
interesting.
and Lou is like that because of survival. I mean, she spent 2 years
Right.
out there on the run by herself, and other dogs are a threat, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
They mean,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean,
Sorry.
so other dogs always mean like, and now she's super, super, she's gotten attached to me. And so she's very protective of people when they come up to the door. Um, when she sees somebody around CJ outside, if he's playing with other kids, she'll watch. She watches carefully. If he starts to yell and scream, you know, like he's having fun or something like kids do, she'll perk up and she might growl a little bit like, okay, what's wrong? Um, so it's really interesting. And I'm trying to figure out what happened, you know, because I thought what I wrote was very kind. I didn't mention anything untoward, I don't think. And I'm just thinking, well, what if he read what I wrote? Okay, so what?
Well, he was out in public. You have every reason to be seeing it.
Yeah,
You know.
right,
Yeah. So, you know, you being a voyeur is inappropriate on your part, not him.
right. You know, and the only reason why I used voyeur was
Supposed to
because
stop him when he comes out there and does
I
what he
was
does.
watching,
No,
I was watching from my window, you know, and that's what a
exactly.
voyeur does. You just watching from your window, observing.
Yeah, but whoa, 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 no. That's not accurate for a voyeur. A voyeur is somebody who's looking in through a window, not out
Oh,
through a
okay,
window.
all right.
There's
Well,
a very big difference, right? The
okay,
implication is that a voyeur is looking at something that's private. See, when you
yeah,
look in,
yeah.
you look into private. You were looking
Well,
out at public. That's a very different
well,
thing,
I
no?
was looking, right. I was looking out at public, and at the same time, I suppose I could be, you know, said that, oh, I was looking into somebody else's world, you know, because he was just
Yeah,
completely
but
oblivious
he was
to,
displaying that. He was
right,
displaying that. So,
right.
you know, I mean, that's his choice, not yours. You were there first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if you weren't
So
there
anyway,
first, doesn't matter. You know, it's
yeah,
public. You know what? Even
well,
if you came on him doing this, are you supposed to leave? No.
right. You know, and so
So
you know,
he's got a
it's one of those
problem. That's
lessons,
his problem, not yours.
right? That's what I was going to say. It's one of those lessons where, you know, not everybody is who they present themselves to be. Um,
Hold on. Before you go there, I want to share something else though, right? So
okay.
let's rewind this all. So you've shared a whole story for me, right? An explanation and understanding, a discernment, a
Uh-huh.
delineation of the circumstance as it stands now. And
Right.
everything that you've been sharing with me so far is kind of a conventional explanation. Yes?
Okay.
It makes sense in a conventional world. However, let's rewind and let's start the whole thing again. And let's look at this and say, okay, first of all, we had an anomaly. Yeah. We had his behavior was vastly anomalous, correct?
Right.
All right. So this is our blueprint to start with, that we are dealing with something anomalous. And anomalies belong to attunement. and as part of attunement. So now let's relook at this whole incident from the pattern that is here. And the first pattern we had was that of unconventional behavior, correct?
Right.
Not only the actual behavior, but the point in your post that you emphasized to me was not just the actions which were unconventional, but the attitudes that went along with those actions. Yes,
Okay.
they were very unconventional, right?
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so what I'm trying to say is we've got a pattern of unconventionality. So now let's continue with this pattern and say, okay, the universe has brought you this marvelous situation of unconventionality. And so now it's continuing with an unconventional pattern, right? With his
Right.
behavior. It's
Right.
completely and utterly anomalous, right? So now let's say, how can this make sense in an unconventional way,
That's a good question.
right? And
Okay.
that's a very different perspective, yes? Because look at it from what you're dealing with, CJ. You are dealing with exactly the same thing, that you've got unconventional behavior that is requiring unconventional attitudes and mindsets from you in order to deal with it, yes? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So from a big picture universe point of view, you've got the situation, the circumstance where you're being asked to really take all of your conventional thinking and throw it out the window, as it were. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know not to take it personally. But
Right. But even more than that. But even more than that. All right. So I'm trying
I'm
to
not,
say is, go ahead. Sorry.
I would say I'm not making the connection between his subsequent actions and CJ's.
Okay. So let's assume he is not a conventional person, and
Right. I
he
already.
is doing
Yeah.
something that is totally unconventional, but for a good reason, for a sensible reason,
Okay.
so that there is some logic and purpose, which is confounding at first, but it's like a puzzle, like a test. Yes.
Okay.
In other words, let's see if we can make sense of his behavior by treating it as sensible. How can this behavior, which would normally be considered rude, be sensible? In what would the circumstances be? So what we're doing is we're not changing the fire, we're changing the environment, in other words, to make sense of it. See, we're coming at this from a whole other angle here, right?
Okay.
So under what circumstances would such behavior make sense and be appropriate? What agendas, what contexts, what intents? Yeah.
I can't think of any because I'm
That,
serious.
I agree, and it's not easy. And this is the challenge, is to sort of get this. We have to really kind of explode our imaginations, as it were.
The only thing I could think of
Now,
is that, the only thing I could think of is that he is extremely shy, but then why would he stop to talk to the other person?
okay, so again, it's somewhat of a conventional reason. Let's assume that this guy's really got his act together, and he's not shy. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's in charge of himself, but he's got bigger picture agendas. Could he be testing you
For
to see
what?
how you deal with rudeness, right? To see if you are capable of stepping outside the boundaries of conventional reaction, right? In other words, he might be testing you to see if you can completely let go of those initial perceptions and set them aside to say, oh, well, he's just an ordinary person. You know from your observation that was not ordinary, what he was doing. So how
Right.
do the two
Right.
reconcile? Is he schizophrenic? Maybe. Okay, could be. He could go from one. That's possible, but it doesn't seem that this is the case here, right? This wasn't behavior
Right.
that falls to that type of guy. But it's an explanation, right? He may have a twin brother.
Uh, No, because we would know.
Well, but let's just assume that they're only allowed to have two people in the apartment and the brother's staying rent free. And okay, my point is that is a very legitimate explanation. This happens sometimes, right?
Okay,
So, only one can come out at a time and you only ever see one. Well, you just assume there's only one, but there's actually two.
right.
I'm making the point, though, that
Okay,
it's this type of thinking, whether it's realistic or not, is not the issue. It's about possibility, not probability, right? Because
right,
the exercise here is not to find what is, but to develop potential other explanations. So it's an imagination awareness exercise, right? And to
right.
construct alternative possibilities. Now, you say, yeah, but why do I want to deal with things that yeah, okay, theoretically that could be possible, but it's so unlikely. Why bother with it? Well, because you live in a situation which somebody from the outside, if you to tell them this, they'd say, come on, yes, I know theoretically it's possible for somebody to, just get all bent out of shape every morning for no good reason. But come on, seriously, you're asking me to believe this is true?
Okay,
You see what I'm saying? So
yeah,
you're already in a situation that defies imagination. It is a if you had to write it as a story, people say, yeah, come on, seriously, they wouldn't believe it as a story. But that's the problem with truth. That stories, they have to make sense, but truth doesn't have to make sense.
okay,
Yeah,
right,
when we write a story, we sort of, there's a contract between you and the reader that this is going to make sense in some way. But truth,
right,
there's no contract like that.
yeah,
But it's a good exercise to train our brain to be able to think of alternate possibilities. Right? So, okay, let's assume you're a really sensible person. And you doing this to test you, to
well,
see if
okay.
you can deal with such things and not treat them conventionally.
Well,
Kind
I
of
mean,
cool.
even if that's the case, the mindset that I would adopt is, oh well, it's like, honestly, it's like if somebody does, if my mindset yesterday was, well, okay, yeah, that was offensive, but then at the same time, I let it go because it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I can't do anything about that, and I can't make anybody like me, and it doesn't matter if
yeah,
they do or
yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but what I
But
what I was earnestly trying to do was to um, offer an apology again, so that this person would hear that I did not mean for Lou to be so disruptive of his dog.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. All
because I
right.
did
So
feel bad for that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Let me come at this from another angle here. Let's
okay,
assume, just for purposes of argument, that we're writing a movie, and this movie is about this angel who comes to Earth, right?
okay,
And the angel comes and, well, it's just been shoved into Earth, and it really sort of, well, it's got angel agendas, but it's not a specific mission necessarily. This is our premise. We're going to figure out the story as we go along. So we got the story, and the angel comes to Earth, and angel finds themselves in this apartment, and they got to look after somebody. And okay, they go outside and they do angel stuff, which is say thank you to the tree for being there for the mother and whatever, right? It's
right,
all angel logic. But now the angel gets accosted by a human. And, well, angel hasn't really, it's not, it doesn't know what to do in this case. Yes. So we
uh-huh,
get this behavior, but it's an angel. So the angel always is operating from a higher intent and a greater logic and a bigger picture mindset, right? It looks long term. It's looking after your soul, not whether your ego is going to be affronted or not, right? So
right,
what could angel agendas be? For instance, this turning the back on you is to see if you can, maybe the objective could be to see if you are able to assume good intent regardless of behavior.
that that I'm to what?
To see, to check and see if you are capable of assuming good intent regardless of behavior.
To assume it.
You see what I mean? To say, okay, well, that's rude, but rudeness is an assumption of an intent. Yes.
Okay.
Whereas if you said, well, hold on a second, let's come at this from a different angle. You've already seen this person to be not normal. Yes.
Yes.
You already know this. This is a fact that you cannot now set aside. So knowing this fact, can you say, I have to reconcile the two, and that person that you saw is not the person who's going to be rude, correct?
Right.
Therefore, there must be some other explanation. And this is the test. This is the angel logic, is to get you to see what other explanations there might be. Now, you may not actually come up with a reason for it, other than the reason for it is to not assume that it is rude. That's it. You may say yes. I may say yes, that if it's the only explanation is that it's rude,
Right.
it
Well,
this
no,
could
I
be
mean,
the correct
I
one.
can see what you're
But
saying.
just because it's the correct one doesn't
No,
mean it's the only possible one. See, and that's what. Okay, okay.
well, I know that it's
Sorry,
not
go
the
ahead, go ahead, go
only
ahead.
possible. I know it's not the only possible explanation. You know, I'm not insisting on hanging on to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was mentioning it that, it was just really, really weird, especially since
Yes,
there was only
yeah,
one interaction. One.
yeah, yes, yes. Yeah.
So,
Okay, so here's the other thing, I'm sure
yeah.
that, uh, like I said, if you ask somebody to teach you, they are obligation to do so, whether they want to or not. Yes. Now he may be aware of this, and he may see that, because, like, you could have said to you, "Hey, teach me how to talk to dogs. Teach me how to talk to trees and flowers and plants." Right? That would have
Uh-huh.
been an excellent way to come into it, right? And then he's forced to do it, but he may not want to. He
Right.
may have enough on his plate already, and so it may be being rude to put this off, right? Because, oh God, yeah, I've got to deal with this now. It's like when a child
Right.
comes and asks you stuff, and you've got to deal with it, but you don't really have the energy. That's a possibility. Or more likely is that he's saying, "Do you really want this? Are you willing to put up with stuff?" Right? Because even if
Right.
he is rude, the to me, the learning to develop that skill that he has of being unconcerned, right, about the
Uh-huh.
opinions of others, I'm willing to put up with rudeness to learn that. Yeah. It- Me personally, right? So I'm just saying, so it may be a test to see how serious are you really, right?
Hmm.
I mean, from his point of view, you may, yeah, dang it, my Marmite gets too sealed up here. Hang on. I
Oh,
gotta
okay.
loosen it up with the water. Anyway, I mean, from his point of view, he may just see you as a single woman looking for a husband.
You.
Yeah, but how does he
Yeah.
know? You see what I mean?
Huh.
How does he know that's not your agenda?
Uh, doesn't, but I'm, yeah, no.
Yeah. No, but again, from your viewpoint, it's one thing. He has no idea of knowing. I mean, there's a very high possibility that this could be so. Yeah. I mean, he may not have it from you, but he may have it from other one. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I
it's
don't know
just,
how eligible he is or not, but
I don't know.
doesn't
I
matter.
don't know. Nobody has seen these people. Only two people have ever
Yeah.
seen his mom. That's
Yeah.
it.
But I mean, just from that one meeting that you saw
And
with
they never
of
come
him,
out.
right?
Huh?
Yeah. But I mean, it's just from this one meeting that you, or one, you saw him through the window, and just from
Yeah.
that, it made you come up and talk to him. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
right. So furthermore, right, he now he was out again, and he was interacting with the kids. So he's making some there is some change in his behavior from never interacting to now suddenly interacting, right? Or being
Yes.
visible at least.
Yes.
But he may have realized, I'm just now going to where just on a more conventional basis. He may have sort of thought, well, we're drawing attention by being too invisible. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the woman that he was talking to, the other woman, this
Yeah.
was not a woman who was looking to make friends with him. I'm assuming, yes, not the way you were.
No, Tony makes friends with everybody. She's just that
Right.
way. She's a nice neighbor lady.
Right. But what I mean is that it wasn't personal to him specifically, right? Her friendliness. That's just how she is, right? So it's safe for him to interact with, be friendly with her. Whereas, let's assume he doesn't want you to come inside his house ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Whatever, right? He doesn't want this to happen, right?
Right. I
Now,
wouldn't.
this changes the dynamic, right? You came, you were friendly, you were earnest, you were sincere, you were setting up a paradigm or a premise or a interaction that could easily lead to that type of a friendship. Yes.
Right.
And if this is not possible for him to have, for whatever reason, and there could be very, very benign reasons. The mother may have severe dementia and she gets really freaked out if people come into the house and she gets all crazy, right?
Okay.
See what I'm saying? Whatever, and it's hard to explain because it may take the form of jealousy. How do you explain that your mother's jealous of you bringing women into the house? This is not an uncommon thing. I'm just using it as an
Right.
example, though.
Right.
So my point is, he may be being rude as an act of kindness.
Okay.
Make sense?
Oh, yeah. That's what I said. What you're trying to say makes sense. I just couldn't connect it to,
Yeah.
how it
Right.
connected to CJ. I mean, with him, I know to look for other strategies. I know I have to change it up all the time.
Right.
I have to stay one step ahead of that kid.
Right.
So,
I'm just saying it's developing the mindset of at things that are otherwise preposterous as potential solutions or explanations. Either way.
okay. Yeah, no, I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get
So
it.
between us, we are deliberately engaging in preposterous thinking. That's pretty cool, is it not?
Engaging deliberately in preposterous thinking.
You are in a situation where the preposterous is ongoing every day. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And now I feel like I'm caught in a trap because it's like right now, no matter what I do, I have
Yeah.
so many. I mean, I couldn't pull CJ out of school if I wanted to. I just couldn't, not now.
Yeah.
There would be way too many things that would come up against me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and in many, many ways, I am very, I'm not going to say angry, but
Yeah.
there is some resentment there for having to go
Well,
through this again in my life. Again.
yeah.
God, I didn't want any involvement with the stupid powers of the state, and here they are. So,
Yeah.
it does, it gets old. It gets old.
Right. And it's dealing with preposterousness, right? Because they preposterous, right?
Yeah, terribly. So, I mean, that's something else that I have to do today is contact this probation officer because finally, I don't know, a full month after he's been on probation, the officer decides to finally show up at school yesterday and then proceed to tell CJ, which I think is what set off his trigger, what kind of put him on edge, primed him basically to be triggered. Later in the day was she told him, well, you're still facing charges for the fight you got into in school. Well, that completely took him by surprise as much as it did me. Nobody's told me that now he has charges pending for getting into a fight in school. Nobody told me that. And I'm his guardian. I think I ought to know. Nope, they just don't contact you. So I'm gonna call them today and just say, okay, they're supposed to be doing home visits and they don't. She's supposed to be visiting with him and speaking with him regularly, and she does not. The only person who's done a home visit was CPS, and all she did was walk in, sit at my table, interview me, and leave. So I just feel like everybody's building all this information and nobody's actually looking or doing anything or taking the time to do their job. So I'm a bit frustrated. I feel like there's going to be a lot of stuff that we don't even have a court date yet for the first offense.
Oh, interesting.
No court date for the first offense, nothing. And that happened clear back in January. We're looking at almost March. And there's no court date.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that long to set one. So I don't understand what's going on.
Very interesting.
It's kind of making both of us sit on edge. We're just like, what do we do? What's going to happen? We don't know.
Yeah. Uncertainty, dealing with uncertainty.
Yeah. So, it's, they keep telling us, oh, don't worry about it. When you get one, you'll get one. And it's like, no, you can't just leave a kid hanging or their family hanging for a year until you guys decide that it's finally time to set a date.
Right. So again, we've got another preposterous situation which requires a preposterous remedy on your behalf. Because you can't change them. The only thing you can do is change yourself, no? See what I mean?
Change myself to do what? To just be completely accepting of all of this? I
No,
don't
to have a
understand that.
radical preposterous mindset to deal with it.
Then what mindset should I be looking at then? Because I'm acknowledging, I'm accepting, I'm trying to understand. I get that they really have some screwy laws here and some philosophies. Beyond trying to be patient and show CJ to be patient and tell him, well, we'll get an answer when we get an answer.
Yeah. So you
I
kind
don't
of
know
have
what
to
other mindset.
caring. Yeah.
Huh?
You have to kind of care without caring.
I don't get that.
Okay, so you can't like say, well, I don't care, and therefore I'm not going to be worried because doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? So you can't say that because you do need to take an interest. But if you take too much interest, then it gets stressful, right?
Right.
So you've got to care, but also not care both at the same time, which is sort of a preposterous attitude, no?
Right.
It's a very radical and very different mindset to have to use. Yes.
Okay.
Does it make sense? I'm not saying it's easy, but you're in a preposterous situation, and your only options here really are to develop preposterous mindset attitudes, not in the same preposterous way as theirs, but preposterous in the sense of being completely unusual, right? Completely radical, completely that goes against your conventionality, as it were, your expectations, your shoulds, yeah? Because the whole situation is completely outside of should.
No, okay. What we are being asked to do is to step into the line and conform completely to church, to their Republican ideals, to all of their family ideals.
So the preposterousness that's not going to happen. So you have to find a way of not doing that and also doing what it is that you want to get done and having peace of mind. So it's working with it and against it both at the same time. Again, see, kind of a preposterous way of going around it, no?
Okay. I'm gonna have to think on that one.
Why?
No,
In other
I
words,
will.
something that works for you, regardless of how you do it.
Okay.
Which, if you have to say, make peace with it, okay, it's a full of crap system. And it's it is what it is. I'm not going to stress and bother. If they don't want to give me a court date, well, I'm just going to have to chill. It doesn't mean I don't care, but I'm not going to be stressed. I'm going to care and not be stressed both at the same time. That's preposterous. That's kind of a radical way of
Right,
going
right,
about things.
right.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Developing these preposterous attitudes, like the kissing the tree. It's a preposterous thing to do.
Yeah.
Unconventional preposterousness that makes sense. That's the theme.
I don't know. That's gonna break my brain right now.
I know, and this is the gift of it. This is the gift of it. This is the gift of it. It is brain breaking stuff. It is precisely the point of it is to break your brain. Yeah. To break your brain from the stranglehold of its usual thinking. Exactly. 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 Things that you assume or accept as being intrinsic to this. No, not necessarily. So, we were very much in sync, it seems. I had a hard day yesterday. After Jessica Zuma at Matt, come on, because Matt's starting with impeccability, by the way, which is very
Good,
exciting.
good,
Yeah.
good.
Yes, very. Anyway, so after Matt, I was like, oh man, Bina came on. I was like, Bina, I'm really feeling it. I'm really tired. And then Bina had to go. I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go lie down. And that's what I did. For the rest of the day, I pretty much just took the day off. Right, everything ceased and stopped, which is very interesting too, because pretty much everything ceased coming in as well, very anomalously. Right, like where I'd expecting to get messages, just nothing came. Like, hello, how does this work? Right, it's like the universe had put everything on pause. It's too incredible. And today it all started up again. So it really made me think how the universe was essentially adapting to my circumstance. And it's just, sometimes I call it dealing with the barbarian invasions. Like,
Right.
your castle gets attacked. You need to take care of them before they get to the castle walls, even. You need to send your troops out. Because when you send troops out, it takes energy, right? So when you
Mm-hmm.
get, attacked, and I studied this from like getting colds and flu. If you feel tired for no good reason and you don't go and sleep, you get cold or flu. And you say, but I shouldn't be tired. I slept 8 hours. I slept 10 hours last night. So your logic overrides what your body says. But if you do go rest, then you don't get sick. That's what I did yesterday. So anyway, um, but it made me think. And so I was thinking the whole time while I'm just chilling in there. It's just how my brain works. And so the end result of all of this is I came to the conclusion that reality is a belief.
You have two what?
I came to the conclusion, the profound, radical, world changing, life changing, everything changing conclusion that reality is a belief.
Reality is a belief. Huh?
Yeah. You say, what fuck? Come on. The very nature of the term reality says that is how we define what is not a belief. But that's the problem. Okay, so let me come at this. Okay, I was giving you
Well,
the
no,
conclusion.
I mean, if you think about it, everything is a belief. Everything.
Precisely.
The
Precisely.
only the only thing that's a fact is whatever we can lay our eyes on, and even then we can go into an existential brain breaking session there just to say, well, that's all
Exactly. And
belief.
I can short circuit that very quickly. So I have lots
Yeah.
of wonderful dreams, and all sorts of preposterous things happen in my dreams. In my dream
Mhm.
last night, John Walter was doing Way of Impeccability, right? And then it started everybody doing Way of Impeccability. Okay, so it was a very cool dream, and I've never had it like that before, actually, dream. So it was unusual in that. But I'm making the sense that it's very anomalous. And okay, this is something I suppose realistically could happen. But I have stuff which defy the laws of science and stuff happen in my dreams. But I was telling Vina this because I make an effort to be lucid in my dreams. None of this triggers me to say, but that's impossible, and therefore I must be dreaming. It never happens for me. I just accept it all. I'm very accepting in that sense, right? Anything is
Mhm.
possible for me. So I was saying to Vina that I need to change the other side of the equation. It's not my dream perception which is at fault. It is my reality perception. The fact that I see rules and strictures and this in this reality, this is the error of perception, not the fact that anything can go in my dreams, because anything can go here also, right?
Right.
They the same reality. There is no rules fixed hard reality. It's all belief, and I'm just making it real by holding on to this belief, right? So this is the one that has to change, not the dream logic. Yeah. Anyway, so you see what I'm getting at, though. When we start to understand and realize that this is fluid and flexible, we just hold it tight together with our beliefs. That's what locks us in. And when we start to shift out of that, you now have this gift from the universe where all your ideas and beliefs about how things work and people behave are being sort of challenged, right? Okay, you had him come out
Right.
walking on the grass with the plants and the flowers and stone the tree. So now just continue with that and say, okay, now he's apparently being rude, but let's assume it's not. And not take it as that, and just act as if it's not rude, and act as if there's some good reason that I don't yet know. Because the person who kissed the tree is not the person who's going to be casually rude, correct? So to reconcile the two. So it is about thinking differently, thinking radically differently, thinking preposterously different, but preposterous in a positive sense, not preposterous in the nonsense sense of like the government and CJ's behavior and that, but to see that there might be some good reason for the preposterousness. This is very exciting, is it not, Sher? Because
Okay.
it's breaking the fixation of our understanding of reality, which is where we're
Right.
heading in the longer terms, is what wave impeccability is all about, is to get us to that point of fluidity, flexibility, and adaptability so that we can be appropriate. How are we going to be appropriate in a fluid reality?
How are we going to be appropriate?
In a fluid reality. In other words, this reality, our reality is not very fluid, it's very fixed, right? But what if we transition and we end up in a different reality? We don't have the repeat of this, but we end up in a reality where everything's fluid, where if you think of something, something happens. Yeah. What about that? Like a dream type reality, right? If that's our
Okay.
new reality, how are we going to deal with that?
I don't know.
Do we have the skills to deal with that? Do we have
Probably
discipline, the
not.
mindset of thinking and feeling? Exactly. So this is where the thinking comes from. That if somebody behaves rudely, my default is to treat it as rude behavior. Now, all right, I might not necessarily get upset and annoyed. That's like whatever, dude. But the default is I still believe this behavior is rude when it may not be. And that is a big step, right? To not have that automatic assumption of intent. You're not saying it isn't rude, but not to insist that it is. See?
Okay.
Very nuanced point. But this is the finesse, the sophistication that we're looking to develop, so that when we come into situations where we are in a fluid reality, when things happen, in other words, we don't automatically respond, because those automatic responses could get us into trouble. Yeah. So somebody gives me a fright and startles me. If my automatic response is to get into fight mode, right, and it's all exaggerated in fluid reality, I may now actually end up in a fight simply because I assumed I'm being attacked. Yeah.
Right.
See my point? So this is very key for us to have this ability to say it could be, but isn't necessarily so. So that we have this automatic power pause with everything, not just power pause, but power assumption to say, oh, you know what? I was kind of assuming that he was being rude. Yeah. Where I'm not saying he wasn't sure. He may very well be. But the magic of the capital G gift is to not insist on it and have it to be the only option. Just because we cannot see alternate options doesn't mean they don't exist. That's the lesson, correct?
Well,
Just
I
because,
get your point. I do. I get your point.
I'm belaboring it a little bit because it's a very difficult point to communicate.
No, no. I mean,
But
I
it's
do get it. I do understand it. But like I said, I was having a difficult time connecting it to, in to that, well, okay, I was saying he was being rude because in my experience, that's what rude is. You know, I mean, it just is. And to connect that to, you know, CJ's behavior, well, I'm sorry, assaulting me is rude. You know, cussing me out is rude, those kinds of things. To insist on those things, you know, as labeling them, I suppose that, yep, okay, that's wrong to insist, but I don't know of other ways to look at that stuff.
Right. But now, right. So I want to get also more.
Now you're cutting up. Hold on. It's an important point in your,
Which
and
is
it,
to say, yes, it is rude. However, does it mean that there's not a good reason? You hear me? Am I back?
yeah, now,
I think I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna drop probably. No?
okay.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. So the for me the issue is like with CJ or with John now. I'm just gonna call him John because to me in my mind it's John now, right? With either of them, yes, let's assume the behavior is rude. Well, in CJ's case, it very much is so. However, just because the behavior is for real, really is rude, doesn't mean there's not a good reason for it. The universe has its own agendas, and it may use rudeness to push you to be able to deal with it, handle it, to develop emotional control, mood management, energy management, all sorts of things, right? So just because the thing is rude doesn't mean that it's there for a negative reason. That's the discernment that we're looking for, to jump outside of our conventional cause and effect relationships. Yes?
Okay.
See what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
It's not easy to do when you in it. It's easy to do after the fact. Like when you look back at your history, you say, wow, you know, that sucked, but I can kind of see that there was a good reason to it. But can you do it in the present?
I don't know.
Well, that's what you're being asked to do now. That's what you're
I
being
don't
asked to
know. I'm standing in the middle of it. I'm the one who's having to walk on eggshells, and I'm.
Right. Well. Take okay. CJ's now it is a different situation a little bit because there's more to it, but still, it's still asking you for a preposterous attitude, mindset, behavior to deal with his preposterousness. So, in the case of John's rudeness, it's the same thing, but with a little bit less consequentialness to it. See?
The only thing that I'm coming up with is don't take people, you know, their shit personally, which I'm
Exactly.
trying really, really hard not to do because there's a whole lot of
Exactly.
people that want to dump
Exactly.
their crap on me, and I do take it personally. I'm trying not to, but
Exactly. And this is a life lesson for you. Yes.
I
This
don't
is a
know.
very deep life lesson to not take shit personally.
Well, it's kind of hard not to when I've been conditioned to take it personally.
Precisely. And the universe is saying, Sher, I hear you, Sher. I hear you, wonderful, magical Sher, who is very dear to me. I hear you that this is very difficult for you. And I am going to provide you with every possible opportunity to learn and to deal with this and to have opportunity to practice not taking it personally. I'm going to give you every opportunity, right?
Huh. Which is really kind of
So
disappointing when you know, to meet new people and then they more or less show their butt like that. So,
right, but that's the point, though. You see,
you know,
again, that
okay.
disappointment.
Do you know that gorillas and orangutans, and orangutans specifically, that is the behavior that they demonstrate when they are, um, they will deliberately turn around, turn their back, and show their butt to, um, to other members in their clan or in their group when they're angry
Yeah,
at them or when they're just basically, you know, just trying to be assholes.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but they will do that intentionally. And when humans do it, Yeah, we do get offended. There's a lot of people who just go, oh, well, you must just be in a bad mood today or something. And
Right,
then
right,
there's other
right.
people like me who just go,
However,
huh?
okay. I want to make the point that this, to use a very direct cause and effect, and it seems very simple. It's not. It's not with the orangutans and chimpanzees and baboons, right?
Right.
Yes, they do that for the reasons that you said, but it's not the only instance in which they will show their butts. When the females are in heat, they'll also show their butts. Now it's the exact opposite intent.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is, if your consciousness got downloaded into a baboon, and you only had this one understanding of your back being turned, you're going to miss those signals when the female turns their butt towards the male. It's
Okay.
a complete reverse signal, right? She's in heat. She wants attention, right? The intent behind it is different. In other words, same behavior, different intent. So all I'm trying to make a point is that, again, when we start to say, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize that." In other words, our imaginations sometimes are limited, and we don't see the moreness. And so when we break this habit of assuming that our perceptions are the only perceptions, then we can break this and then start to connect to things which otherwise we would not connect to. Yeah,
Right.
it's really cool.
Right.
It's really cool. The universe
Well, I,
really,
I
really,
know that
really loves you.
I know that my perception is not the only one. I do get that.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, I do. I
yeah.
understand, and I understand what you're trying to say. All I was trying to say was that, you know, it was just rather unsettling.
Yes, 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 yes. I agree.
Oh,
Although it doesn't need to be. Yeah.
okay. So honestly, if you were standing in that same position and the same exact thing happened to you, what would you do?
I would be most intrigued. And honestly, I would not be offended. Seriously, I've really made every effort to practice this. Yeah, I mean, doesn't mean I always succeed, but for the most part, I really have succeeded in taking anomalous behavior like that and saying, "Wow, that's interesting." And my first response is almost always, "Oh, that's interesting." Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I really try
Well,
hard to work on that because, for instance, I was coming back to the base when I was in the army on my rounds, right? And as I drove in at the gate, the guard stops me and it's all drama and says, "Oh, I got a message from the lieutenant to tell you first thing when we see you, and he got a message to say that your father has died." Right. So my reaction was, "Oh, that's interesting," and off I went. I wasn't upset,
oh,
stressed, bothered, or like whatever. Oh, that's interesting, right? Because that was not an issue for
okay.
me. And and also I had said before, I thought this through, that when people get news of death, they get all bent out of shape or disaster, or whatever. It's only news. You don't know if that news is true or not. So how can I start reacting to it? I don't know what it is that I'm getting is verified. It turns out it wasn't for me. So my perception was entirely valid. That this so it was just kind of a confirmation of something that I had thought before. But even if it was
Right.
true, I'm still not put out by death. But my point that I'm trying to make is that we can train ourselves to not react in the usual ways. To say, because I want to unhook from should. So if he's being
Okay.
rude, should
That
I
one I can
be
do.
upset by it?
Well, see,
Yeah.
now you,
See,
you
I
could have
don't
just
want to
let
be
off with that. I
even.
would have understood.
Oh, sorry. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to always know what's appropriate. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, no. I mean, if you had just let off with, okay, unhooked from should, I would have understood what you were talking
Okay,
about.
sorry. I was sort of taken for granted already. Yeah. All right. That's why I was sort of like, but I was sure not getting this. So I tried different ways. Eventually I get there. Look,
Just,
sometimes you gotta go a long
just
way
tell
around.
me, just
Also,
share unhooked from
I'm
should.
I'm not in my full energy. Yeah, I'm still struggling from the leftovers of yesterday. So I'm also not as sharp as what I would not normally be.
It's
So yeah,
okay.
I ask for
It's
some
okay.
forgiveness. Yeah. But
No,
yeah,
that was just kind of funny. Now I
yeah,
get
for
you.
me, yeah, I love it. I love it. I have this bent. I have this real obsession with not being a slave of should. So if somebody behaves in a way like that, I just don't want to react the way I should behave. Even if it's
Right.
appropriate, I still want to have the freedom to choose.
Right. I mean, that makes sense.
In other words, sure, for both of us, we can use our obstinate sides, right? Our stubborn sides. And like you
Yeah.
know, you're stubborn about shoulds. Like, fuck no, sorry, if you want to cause me to do this, I won't be manipulated by should. And whether it's intentional on
Yeah.
this person's behavior or not, I will not be. I will not be. I will not be a
And
slave
that's
to should.
right. And that, Lou, are you staying or going? Come on. What are you gonna do, girl? Okay.
I thought you were talking to me for a second.
No,
I'm
no,
saying,
no.
well,
Lou is
I'm
she
going because I want
no,
to.
she can't decide what she wants to do. Come in or out.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
I let her
making
out
fun.
now she decided.
Let me show
When
you
it
what I'm doing.
no, when it comes to
Oh.
should for me, no, I am that same mindset. It's like, no, I don't want to be a part of it. But that's what's been happening, like say with the courts and the schools and all these other people that are now trying to insert themselves into our lives because they think they're supposed to.
Exactly.
Now
You looking at
they're
screen?
proposing, how I no yeah, now I am. Yeah, that's cool.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
that's your
it's
dub,
time
right?
sensitive. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's your dough. It looks like it's ready.
Yeah, it's my. Well, it's like a type of a pancake. I call them soul-jacks anyway. Flapjack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's in the pan. It's cooking. Yeah.
Cool.
Carry on. Sorry.
So anyway, they're telling me, and this is where I'm getting resistant, where I am being resistant, I am being resistant because I'm being told how I should be parenting people. For example, when the teacher and when the principal called and told me yesterday that because they have been in the educational field for X amount of years, that they know how should be responding and how I should be trying to teach him to de-escalate. And I honestly still I got frustrated. And it's like, do you think that I'm just not doing anything about this?
Yeah.
I said, lady, I have been on this for several years and I have tried multiple approaches. If you have something that's going to work better than what the behavioral specialist and the psychologist and everybody else on the team thinks will work, please, by all means, teach us. Because we have no other ideas. And they were trying to tell me that, well, he's in the best place possible. And it's like, how?
Yeah. Well, don't tell me, prove it. That's all. Say, okay, I'll take your word for it, but prove it to me. Just demonstrate. So, okay, I'll wait and watch and learn.
I just told him, I just said, I'm all ears. I'm willing to learn. I said, because I have learned probably every other type of method possible. And none of this working. CJ is going to do whatever he's going to do, especially when he's triggered. And I cannot control that. You're like, well, no, he just needs to know how to de-escalate. Go ahead.
Yeah. Show me. I want to learn.
So I got,
but the thing.
So I understand that. No, I understand that it's their, that it's part of their job, part of their position. But they do have probably a genuine concern, but at the same time, it's like, please stop trying to tell everybody that it's always the adult or the parent that's at fault. He's got to be willing. He knows the tools, so he knows what you've taught him. He knows what I have. He knows what he's supposed to do, but he has to be willing to do it.
To
be effective.
Absolutely.
He can cook for himself.
His willingness,
hold on,
is going to happen. You're just going to be fighting him, and you can't force people to be sensible. It's not possible.
No, I cannot. And I
Yeah,
have learned.
no, them, they
when I
can't do
was
it either.
trying-
They
no,
might think
when I
so,
was-
but they can't.
Well, when I was trying to teach him sensibility, when I was trying to teach him the obvious, when I was trying to show him that, hey, there's an easier way
Yeah,
to do this. This isn't necessary. All of that felt like
Yeah.
I was trying to force something that he was not willing to do. Well, then I finally got the
Yeah.
picture. Okay, you're not willing to do it. So what are you going to do?
yeah,
So this is where I have
Yeah.
taken on that status of, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. This is now where I have taken on the status of that tightness that you were talking about, where I just,
yes,
okay, you're going to do what you're going to do. He knows the
Exactly.
consequences. If he goes outside and he goes out of parameters and he stays out
Exactly.
past curfew, there's nothing I can do.
exactly,
I also can't force
exactly.
him
To
to eat.
break that cause and effect for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't force him to eat. I can't force him to go to bed. I cannot. I can only ask him. Now, there's people who are saying, well, Sherry, that's just not very effective parenting. You have to discipline him. How?
yeah,
How am I going to discipline an 11-year-old who gets into these rages? Please explain to me how. Now, here's the
Well, you do.
interesting part.
You take
They
away
won't
his
come to my
privileges and
home,
things.
but still they won't come here.
Yeah,
They're more than
Yeah,
willing
exactly,
to tell me all this stuff over the phone, but nobody
Yeah.
wants to come here and observe.
yeah, yeah.
So I get a little resentful, and
Say,
that's where, I
I
can understand where I
you
need
just
to.
you know come spend the week here, and then you'll see.
What's
I'll make
that?
a bed for you in the living room. No problem.
Oh, you're cutting out again. Nope, completely lost you.
Yeah, you need to. Oh no, I said tell him to. I
No.
invite you to come spend a weekend and see what you've got to say. The reality is not every. Okay, it'll
Yeah.
come
Well,
back. It'll come
yeah.
back. There we go. There we go. I'm back again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
I'm hearing you. I can hear you. So keep going. Keep going. I hear you fine.
oh, so anyways, that's where, the whole idea of unhooking from this whole idea of should comes from, and where it's going against my beliefs. So I get what you're saying about, reality and beliefs. The reality of the situation is I am the fish swimming against all the other fish in the school. I know I am.
Yeah.
I know I am. I'm a horse of a different color. I'm all of that. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There is to them because I'm not being compliant.
Yeah.
I'm not like all the others. And so that kind of sets me apart, and they just go, oh, well, that's a bit odd. That's a bit different. Maybe you should try following along with the rest of the group and he'll get along better. No, he won't get along better. The only thing that's going to help him get along better is for him to decide that there is a reason for him to start trying some of his tools that he knows he has.
Yeah.
He has them.
Sure. There is
Yeah.
a particular problem involved with CJ right now, unfortunately. And this is his battle for dominance with you. Yeah. So
Yes.
he's got in his mind that he's got to have this battle for dominance. So unfortunately, in this means that he's got to be anti whatever you do. So whatever you say
Yeah.
that's sensible, he has to resist. Because if
and go the opposite.
right. So give him bad advice.
Give him bad advice.
Yeah.
Well, I can. The worst advice I've given him so far is, CJ, do whatever it is you need to do. Whatever it is you need.
That to him is what he
but
wants
then
to
he gets
hear.
mad. Yeah, but then he gets mad and he goes, I don't like it when you do that.
No.
Like, well, what am I supposed to do, child? I am telling you what you want to hear. Do whatever it is you think you need to do.
Yeah.
And you're going to have the consequences. Well, he did that last night. He's like, well, you never make me my dinner anymore.
Yeah.
You're the one who never wants to eat, so why should I cook? I'm not going to cook if it's just going to get thrown out. I said, there are people who want this food. So, tell me, CJ, how should we work this out? He doesn't want breakfast, so the groceries, I've been buying less and less and less. A lot less.
Oh, cool.
I've been buying a lot less. When he runs out of milk, it's like, I'm sorry, I only go to the grocery store once a week now. I'm not going to make individual trips.
Good.
To buy you individual items.
No.
That's too much gas, and I don't have that.
Yeah.
And
you don't appreciate it anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's so many different things that my best bad advice I give him is just go ahead and do whatever it is you're gonna do.
Right, but I mean, it's more specifically because that sort of advice which he gets upset because that's what he wants to hear. But if he accepts it, then he's giving you credit, and you being now dominant. You're higher than him because you accept advice.
I get it.
So that doesn't work. That's why he gets annoyed at it, right? And I mean, it's like bad advice. The next time a teacher yells at you, you yell back, and you have the biggest freaking tantrum that you can. That's what I mean by bad advice. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Specific stuff. Which if he doesn't,
yeah.
And then if he doesn't,
go ahead.
Still at work, I got into trouble and it backfired completely.
Yeah, like go ahead and go beat on your walls, go tear up your room, don't care.
Right.
Go hit the wall.
Again, it's not saying do whatever you want. It's I want you to make a hole in the wall.
Okay.
He won't do it because he doesn't want to do what you want.
Yeah, no, he does not. As a matter of fact, too, he's mentioned it. He asked me if I noticed last week. He's like, do you notice that I always say the opposite of everything you do? And I was like, yeah, I know you do.
So that's my point. Use it against him and start giving him bad advice and let him do the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, because I can tell him something's green and he's like, no, it's blue.
Right. So in other words, have a tantrum rather than the opposite is just to chill out and accept it and be cool.
Right. Right.
And say it in that way too.
Yeah. Oh, and he'll always tell me though, he's like, God, I hate it when you get that way. And it's like, you know what? I'm just being matter of fact.
Yeah.
That's all.
But I mean, it's
you don't have to like it. This is me.
Yeah.
So that's.
Oh,
so what you're saying there, yeah. I mean, it does work. It does work to tell him do something completely opposite. But so where my resistance comes in is I've got it coming from two different sides. I have it coming from internally from CJ and then externally from all the other people. We've got the team court and then we have the team Let's Help CJ. And both of them keep pointing their fingers. And this is where I was like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Because both of them were pointing their fingers going, you're bad. This is your fault. How in the hell is his behavior my fault?
No.
I've owned whatever it was I upset him about. But to make him rage when he's not around, I don't get that.
No.
I don't get how his choices are my fault. That's like me saying that his mom's choices are my fault, or that my boys picking up the bottle and drugs was my fault. I'm not going to take responsibility for their choices.
Right. Sure. I don't know if ever you go to any bureaucracy, IRS or something, some of the DMV or whatever, right? And you've screwed up in some way, right? And the bureaucrat is going, you shouldn't be doing this work. And you say, oh, I'm sorry, it's my fault. It stops them right there and their whole thing collapses. Oh, okay, never mind, dear, I'll help you with it. I've used this many times.
Oh, okay.
Many times. They say, oh, you're right. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's my fault. So next time they tell you it's all your fault, say, yeah, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I don't know what to do. It's all my fault. But of course, you're saying it in a way that, well, now that they have to take it seriously, what are you trying here? And then they have to change their tune, you see? Okay, in the case of the people at the counter, they're just aggravated by people being arrogant and assuming. But when you genuinely say, well, yeah, I screwed up, sorry, and then they just change the whole tune. And I've had fantastic assistance from bureaucrats, and I've had them break the rules because I was nice.
Yeah.
So my point is, again, preposterousness, right?
Yep.
Just do it. The other thing I wanted to say with CJ, like for instance, with throwing the tantrum, say the opposite, but put the seeds of what you want to do. So don't say to do the opposite. Say to not do the thing you want him to do. See my point?
Okay.
It's still the opposite, but it's instead of saying throw a tantrum, you say the next time the teacher yells like that, what I want you to do, what I want you to do is to not be chill and calm. Do not just let it run over you. Right? In other words, you're telling him what to do, but you're saying don't do it. So he has the replacement, right? You've given him the suggestion of what to do, but you're saying don't do it. See?
Right.
And
Nope,
see what
I got
happens.
it.
And see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Because you said now he doesn't want to do what you want, right? But
right.
It's just going to be a very interesting situation for him. Plus, it is a way for you to communicate what you do want him to do without him defaulting against saying, I'm resisting it, right?
Yeah.
You're getting both. You're getting both in there. You're actually getting the communication.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Fun. Different thinking. That's what we want. We want to have this really preposterous thinking that works for us. Like with bureaucracies. It is preposterous to believe that the bureaucrats that have called you in for an infraction, right, and there's some problem, you've broken the rules, and then have them break the rules to remedy the situation to help you out. Totally preposterous, but I've seen this happen many times.
Oh.
When I was up in Utah, when I bought the motorhome, I don't know if you were on Zoom at that time or not, but I went to the thing and there was something getting the license and all this, and the rules say that you've got to get it where there, and if I had to do it there, it would have been a major screw up. So I had to get the guy to break the rule to allow me to get it down here where I'm at, right? I said, well, if I had to go with that, I'm going to be completely screwed here. There's no way I can. Anyway, so he saw the problem. All right, never mind. Go ahead. Just broke the rule. The supervisor. It's too incredible. So, I find this too fascinating that when we see that rules can be broken and people break rules all the time, it's too incredible. It's too incredible. And the same thing with your people. If they see you in a situation where you're forcing them to go by the rules, then they stick with these idiotic rules that they might not agree with themselves. But just change the whole game up and, change the paradigm, change the intent, and suddenly everything changes. It fascinates me at the fluidity and flexibility.
And maybe that's what, well, I think I might have offended them because why they even thought that it was necessary to mention it to CJ, I don't know. But, they for this alternative school, they give you like 10, 12 pages of all of their school rules and policies, right? And I read them carefully and I went over them with CJ so that he understood what they were. Because you sign this little thing, it says, yep, I've read the rules and policies. Okay, I'm not going to sign it unless they do. So I did. So we understand all this. And they've got this procedure for when you're dropping the kid off at school, you have to wait in line in your car and you're not allowed to get out of the car until the attendant comes to the car and inspects your child. They have to get out of the car and they have to look and see if they got a belt, is their shirt tucked in, do they have on the right pants, shoes, socks, shirt. Okay. Yeah. Nothing in their pockets. And then they let them in the school. Well, they weren't doing this for the first 2 weeks that we were there. They weren't doing it. And finally, one morning, I just got tired of it. And I called the principal and I was just like, can you explain this to me? You guys made this big, deal about how we all have to drive and sit in line. I said, well, the last week now, at least everybody, or 2 weeks, everybody's just been dropping their kids off because there's no attendant out there. If we wait in line, we're going to be late.
Yeah.
And so we're all just dropping our kids off and going. without them being checked.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh my goodness, well, I didn't realize that. I'll have a talk with my staff. Well, the very next day, staff is now back out there checking, and they have been.
Very good. Very good.
all week. But then she
You
got
were the
mad at me.
troublemaker. It's all your fault.
Yeah, well, what she did is CJ goes, Grandma, whenever there's issues like that, you probably ought not to call and tell the principal about it because she spoke to me. And I went, what did she say to you? He said, well, that she thanked, he said she was kind of rude, but she thanked me for our observation that staff wasn't doing their job. Now, I didn't tell the principal your staff's not doing their job. I just asked a question. My question was this: how are these children supposed to understand and recognize responsibility and discipline if the very adults who are teaching it are not forming their responsibilities?
You got to practice what you preach.
Yes.
You teach the kids.
So that's what pissed her off. So she got on, she didn't get on CJ, but she said she pulled him in and thanked him for our observations. And so that's when he's like, Grandma, we probably ought not do that. And I'm like, CJ, don't. If we ever need to rock the boat, if we need to bring things to people's attention, then that's what we do. That is that's how we operate. That's how people make changes. You know, I said, if something is happening that's wrong to you, I said, that's them telling you you should always be quiet. Don't. You can speak up. So that's kind of where that is. But, you know, I mean, it happens. It happens a lot. And that was another instance of should. You know, this day you don't fall in step with all the other people. Well, I guess I don't then. I'm not worried about it.
There you go. There you go. You know, have fun. Have fun.
Well, yeah. There's
CJ has chosen a preposterous path, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And this preposterous path has really put us in a pickle.
Yeah, but you know what? If you just decide to say, I'm not going to be overly stressed by this, you know, the fact that CJ's got to deal with preposterous people, well, so you're right, CJ.
Yeah.
You know, to see it as a positive rather than as a negative. It's like, dude, this is what happens when you behave like a jackass. You get into a situation where you're dealing with people who aren't sensible, who are preposterous, who are ridiculous, and, you know, who are bureaucrats and who just are there to do the job and get paid and they don't really care, etc., etc. You put yourself in a compromised, vulnerable situation. So, you know, me wanting them to be nice and sensible and good, this is actually not appropriate, right? I actually want them to be full of crap because then you will learn to stay out of these places.
How what?
Different thinking. Just saying.
Oh, it's hard to, no, it's hard to hear you.
Oh, one moment.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I forgot. I brought the phone with me, but you're on the camera now. The camera, the thing doesn't come with me. I'm saying that in a sense, though, if you say to he says, yeah, but you know, these people are full of crap. So, well, I kind of want them to be a bit full of crap. You see what I mean? He says, well, you put yourself into a compromised situation, right? Through being foolish and silly and stupid and an idiot and a nincompoop. So this is the lesson, is to learn that if you put yourself in these situations, it's a compromised situation. You're dealing with people who aren't well paid, who don't necessarily care, who are not consistent, who are not disciplined, who do things that they shouldn't do. This is life. You put yourself in the situation. This is the lesson. It's not to get them to behave sensibly. That's not the objective. The objective is you not to be there in the first freaking place.
Right.
So, as far as I'm concerned, if they're full of shit and they crap and they don't do their job properly, well, okay, that's good because you're learning that this is the reality and you want to not be in those situations. It's the same thing with the law, right? Remember that lawyer that quit and became a missionary right? I told you about, right? One of the lawyers I knew when I was a teenager, right? And he quit. And the thing he said to me is, he said, just one thing, this is, well, it's kind of before he was going. He didn't say before I go, but he said, just one thing to know and be aware of. He says, is the law is a whore. Huh? What do you mean? Yeah, because she screws everyone. This was his parting words of wisdom to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So same thing, CJ. You cannot expect the law to bail you out and to be rational and sensible. The law is going to screw you over. Not because the law is bad or broken, but because the people administering the law are. You may get lucky and find sensible people and good people. But if you're full of shit, they are no incentive to really help you out and bail you out and apply the law. They're going to do what's convenient to them and not care about you. So if you're already compromised and you're there because of your own fault, they have no sympathy for you. Right? So you're going to just get the worst end of it. So learn this. Don't be expecting fairness and justice and sensibility. People don't want to give that. It takes energy and effort to give that. And when people are full of shit, they feel it's their duty to give you shit back. Yeah?
Right.
So learn this. Don't be there in the first place. Don't complain that where you at is crap and try and make it right. No, that's not the objective. The objective is not to be there.
Yeah.
Different thinking. That's the theme with everything, right? Different thinking. And you can say this to CJ. You know what I'm learning with these places is that I'm wanting them to be sensible. But actually, on thinking about it, I don't really want them to be sensible because it's going to give you the wrong message. What I want is to say, oh, this is good that they're full of shit because you shouldn't be there in the first place. And this will help you to not want to go back there because you're dealing with people who are full of shit and who are irrational. So, I'm changing my brain. You're not telling him to change his brain. You're just telling him, you're just sharing with him how you're changing your brain. Yeah. So he doesn't start opposing it. Oh, okay, that's very interesting. But there's nothing to oppose because you're not telling him to believe it. You're just telling him what you've come to now believe.
So this is kind of like approaching all oppositional situations with different thinking.
Say again?
It's kind of like, it kind of sounds almost like approaching oppositional situations or potentially oppositional with different thinking.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So everything becomes this radical different thinking, preposterous thinking, but it's positive preposterousness, not negative necessarily. Because preposterous doesn't necessarily imply negative, right?
Right.
You could have preposterous good deeds. Nobility for most people is a preposterous concept. They don't think it's possible. Patience.
Right.
If you were to do a street poll, right? Like Jay Leno used to go and ask people questions on the street, right? Who's the president? And most of them didn't know, right?
Yes.
Who's the current president? Right. But anyway, if you were to say to him, do you think that it's possible for people to have real, true patience? 90% of people would say no. They don't think it's actually possible. Preposterous. They think patience is preposterous, and it's preposterous that they think patience is preposterous. They really don't believe it's possible. Fascinates me. Because, of course, they're invested in not thinking so. Because if it was possible, they would have to make the effort to do so, and they don't want to make the effort to do so, and they don't want to acknowledge that they're being full of crap about being impatient, so they justify it by saying it's impossible.
Right.
It's really cool, this theme we're on, preposterous thinking. Very, very cool.
Yeah. Yes. But I do need to go. I've got a doctor appointment at.
Okay, no problem. This is
fun.
Like
12:30.
This was fun. This was very cool. Very cool. I really enjoyed this, Sher. Very
cool. I did too. I'm just saying, I got a lot to think about. I mean, just switching my thinking. It's a lot to think about.
I did.
And just when but see, here's the thing. Just when I think I changed my thinking, then there's more thinking that has to change.
Yeah.
So
I just
when I think I thought I was done.
Yeah, the qualifier in there that I enjoyed it too, but there was it was very well said. It was very cool. It came out really well. I love that. Awesome.
Kind of reminds me of
lots to think about. This is a difficult stuff. But the key point I wanted to say before you go, just keep in mind, the universe keeps bringing you capital G gifts. It just keeps
Yeah, it
piling
does.
it on. It keeps piling it on. All of this stuff is these capital G gifts. And it's like, wow, I have to get my brain to think like the universe. I keep thinking like an ordinary human. God.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sir, you take care and enjoy your afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, you too. You too, sir. You too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you, sir. Bye-bye.